Hi everyone, welcome back to the ConnecTree Podcast. How are you doing? I hope you're doing amazingly well. So today we are again back with a new episode, and today we're going to talk about connection. So let's start here. So to start with, we have a lot of people over here. We have quite frankly, precisely saying 7 of us, and this is the first time all 7 of us are here. So how is it going on? How exactly does it feels? How surreal it is to be here.
It feels quite surreal, all of us being here together. It's my first time even doing a podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, doing a podcast. I thought you were going to say that, 7 of us is the first time. I'm going to...
Maybe it's the first time in the history of podcast having 7 people in the podcast.
No, maybe I've seen 10 or more actually.
Yeah, I think I've seen
podcast. It feels surreal. I know, I have great conversations with you all, and it would be wonderful to share that with more people. So, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. As I said, today we're going to talk about connections. And, I think there is no other set of people that I think that I can talk about connections with. So, when we talk, I think we have spoken a lot about connections over here many times, right? So when you think about connections, what comes to your mind first? And also, just to set a context, ConnecTree is all about connections, right? So even the tagline is basically connecting diversities, right? So what exactly comes to your mind when you think about connections and all of that?
People.
People is a really solid answer.
Getting out of comfort zone to meet new people, be it an extrovert or introvert, it's little bit challenging and difficult for some people to meet up. Like for me, example, to talk with some random strangers or meet up with someone new who you haven't talked with in set of years. Now suddenly coming out and talking with complete strangers, usually
starting trouble, basically.
Yeah.
Makes sense. For me, connections is everything.
The problem of meeting new people. You can continue.
What I was saying is, for me, connections is everything. Including people, whether it be this world, everything that we know of, it's all interconnected. We live together, we go forward together. And for me, connections is what keeps, at least me, alive. I thrive by meeting people. I thrive by connecting with this world. I thrive by, connecting with maybe the wind or the trees outside. That's how I live. And I believe that this whole world runs through connections, by meeting and by understanding and by recognizing each and everything. So that's connections for me, the source of life.
That's too deep.
As Aaron said, I'm completely agreeing what Aaron said too, because we are limiting that word connection to humans, peoples, or the other people who are giving acquaintance or something like that. But for me, connection is far more than that. Something like connecting to the nature, connecting to the non-living things, each and every creatures in this world is equally important, that you're connecting to the other people in the world itself. So that defines a different dynamics for that word, gives a different perception for that particular word, connection. It's connecting to the nature, gives a different perception, as well as it also helps to give to look the world very differently, look the people very differently. That's what I think about connection.
It's such a deep and it's such a meaningful word, isn't it? And obviously I think I'm sorry to cut you off, Ajra. Okay, connections is a lot to talk about. And when we all think about connections, there is always this one question that will come to mind. I find it very easy to connect with people, okay, but I don't know how I connect with people. But it naturally happens. I connect with people. Okay. Even I think all of us over here, we connected very easily. It was like not, it didn't take a lot of time, right? It was like all of a sudden it just happened. I don't know like how you guys connect with people. I think, as just Nitin said, or like Aisha said, it takes some effort for some people to basically, come out of that comfort zone to like, or to open up or to make connections, right? So how do you exactly make connections and all that? Like, let's jump into that now.
Exactly. One thing I'm opposing what Rizwan said means there is if you're taking a group of ConnecTree or the lead group, there are 2-3 people who are very extrovert. They put an effort to talk and bring into that comfort zone and create that comfort zone for other people. Maybe the other people are at for example they're looking or they're observing the other people, whether they can connect to these people or that people. But that's what exactly happened in the initial phase of the ConnecTree or the group we are talking right now. Because I'm a person who loves to observe people, and I am a person who take a time to gel with the people. I like to talk. Maybe I will talk with them. Maybe I keep a distance, a safest distance for me. If and all it is not a right gang or right people I'm connecting, I'm very conscious about the people who are taking into my comfort zone or my closest people or the closest zone. So uh, we didn't feel that awkwardness of connecting in the initial phase, because you are the person, you connect with people very easily. Maybe you are the person who was a nucleus of this particular ConnecTree group, because everybody is connecting through Rizwan, because the most common point of this group is you, and you are the vibrant person. You are giving a kind of vibe. Okay. But when you just retrospect all the initial meetings and initial conversation, everybody is under silence. There is we took 3 or maybe 2-3 months to the people to unmute and talk, people to open the camera and talk. So that gap is there, that certain amount of gap is always there, but that gap is filled by the people like you, the vibrant people like you, people who loves to talk, the uh, people who doesn't fear about judgments. That's what I exactly means, and the people who are talking at the initial phase, because they don't fear about the judgment, how they judged or how people will take the perception about that particular person. So such person are filling the gap, no, the silence, the awkward silence of that, while other people are hearing other person. So I think everybody is taking the time to jump into a particular connection, because everybody need that time. Even you are taking that time. Maybe the time gap is the duration of that time reduces or increases depending upon the experience of that particular person, whether he wants or not. Everybody has their own past traumas and past experiences regarding that. There are a lot of people who want to connect the people, but there is kind of a fear inside them. Oh, it's complete strangers. It's is it the right person to open up? A bunch of strangers asking too much personal questions. Okay, so that is created only when we talk a lot, by continuously connecting. We are keeping your accountability for ourselves, means not by telling that I am a trustful person. Not, it's not like that, because they could understand, they could sense that the feel of comfort or sense that trust in you, the bunch of people presented over here. I think everything that takes time. Maybe we don't notice that particular period of time. For some people, we know some people took already 3 months to talk in this particular group.
Yeah, I think
And
that is what makes connections. Rizwan was asking, how do we connect? It's basically what he said. We talk. Conversations are what make connections come true. And it's not like not all people are not going deep in connections. That's not how I feel. It's just that the depth of connections in some people are more visible, While in some people, they just put it inside them. Probably there are people who don't talk much or who don't express much, but are deeply connected to you more.
I agree. I agree to what you say. Yesterday itself, I had a beautiful experience about connections or meeting people. So I went to this hill. It was a small trip. I went with my roommate. And while we were there, we were just walking around. And I see this old lady. She has two dogs. And she's trying to collect all the cans on that hill because it was very dirty. So I decided to go there and say hi and help because the dogs were very cute. So I honestly just wanted to pet the dogs. So I went there, but saw that she's doing this very kind gesture to this world. So I was like, I'll help. So I, gathered a few of the cans and went and talked and started the conversation. Got to know the names of the dogs. One of the names of the dogs was Sputnik, like the satellite, because
Nice.
apparently it's
Nice.
very energetic and it runs everywhere. The other dog's name caught my mind. Its name was Socrates. So I was like, wait, so are you into philosophy? I asked. Because I want to go deep into philosophy. So I was like, oh, are you into philosophy? Turns out she is a major in philosophy and is a professor at University of Manitoba, the much bigger university here. And she is also writing a book right now. And she's very old. But she's like gathering all these bunch of cans and all that. She's a university professor. She does guest lecturing in some other university far away. She goes every 2 weeks by flight, teaches there, comes back. She's writing a mystery novel right now. And it was just amazing that it's serendipitous that I could get to make that connection. And as we walked and gathered all this, we had this wonderful conversation. She told me about these hiking spots, beautiful sunset spots. And my roommate, he studies machine learning. So there was this whole conversation that started upon that. She was like, will machine learning take over humans? And he was like, no. So this went on back and forth. And it was like this beautiful experience of connections, conversations, and words and kindness. So I feel like, I'm able to do that. I'm able to go to talk to someone and express and start up a conversation, and the universe is so kind enough to give me such serendipitous moments. And that's the thing. For me, it's easy to go to someone and communicate, and this universe rewards me with that, with beautiful connections. So yeah, that's my experience. It's easy for me to go to someone, and if the moment's kind enough, the world gives me a beautiful connection.
If you really want something, the universe conspires
Conspires against you to.
Yeah.
Yeah, Alan somehow manages to meet philosopher every single time he goes out, actually.
That's because I think in
He
his
just
head
kind
it's
of
all
attracts it.
inside.
He's like the
He
North
just
Pole of
attracts
philosophers
right
and
now.
the South Pole.
Guys, so I have an interesting question for you guys. Is there any difference between acquaintance and connection?
Yeah.
Yeah, there is there? Acquaintance is another form of connection, right? Just another way of.
I think acquaintance is like it's like a formal connection between two individuals, and
Yeah,
connection
you
is a
know this
broader
person.
term. I think connection is a broader term, and acquaintance.
I will
It's
make
like-
it so specific. Maybe I am having 100 friends, but I am very close to only the 5 or 10 people. So whether I'm connected to that 100 people or I'm connected to that 5 people or 10 people, the real connection
to everyone.
connected to everyone. The real connections is happening over that 5 or 10 or the 100.
Like it's like you're connected to all of them, but even if you take the rest of them, the 95 of them, like leaving the 5 closer ones aside, even if you take 95 of them, it will be different.
Yeah.
All the connections will be different.
Connections to different people.
Yeah.
I agree. I think all of those connections are real. It's just that how we take it in. These 5 people, we take that connection so close to our heart and keep them so close, so it feels more valuable. but it shouldn't invalidate the fact that the other connections are real too. They are real, but it's just that we are not that close to that connection as we are with these 5 people. And it kind of varies upon that. The radius just kind of increases based on how we think of that connection, whether it's, just a small trading of thing of like small bits of information like hi, hello, that kind of connection. Then it goes to like a workplace connection. Then it can go to other mutual friend connections. It's just different radiuses and different
Yeah.
wavelengths. So,
And even for that
Yeah.
matter, no, even in that 95 people, it's probably you say, no, these are the 5 people that are my deepest connections, the closest of them.
Not that I'm not. It's a question I'm asking.
Yeah, I
because
got it.
I know.
No, I am seeing a little perspective on that. As in, if there are the 95 others, probably one among the people not included in this 5 might be considering you among their 5.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm a person. My answer for this question is I am a person who believes every people you meet in your life is contributing a bit into your life, because
Yes,
so
definitely.
I always believe you are the average of the 5 people you spend most, and also
100%
and
agree with
also,
that.
and also every people you're meeting or directly meeting or having a conversation or not is directly or indirectly having an effect in your life. Maybe it's a view, it's a scenery, or it's something you are
We'll add a
from
little of
outside world.
spices of
A little
everything
of
into the very ball of fish.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm a
Even
person
in a
who
technical, as I'll go on.
you go on. That's
Yeah,
it.
even in a technical point of view, I think I've read this in Sapiens. Maximum social connections a human can maintain in his lifetime is maximum is 50. That's like the at most number of people person can connect with in his lifetime, like which he can hold close connections with. So that kind of explains like how like even we are limited on how much connections we can make in our lifetime.
Yeah, I've read something like that too.
What if like our life is ending tomorrow?
Yeah.
Can you name those 50?
Oh no.
That is a
So that answer I want the answer for that question is there is a question for me, because how many of you are manipulating that connections with numbers?
Oh. Okay.
No.
No.
That's
Not action.
No, if you actually asked to number it, I don't have a number.
yeah.
Nitin, please rotate it.
Yeah, that's okay. Figure it out.
Auto rotator, sir.
It's okay. You take your time. Yeah, I think labels, we just spoke about the labeling, right? Like best friends, close friends, office friends, and all that. I think the labeling comes from as just Nitin also mentioned, like how much we wish to invest in in people, right? In the same way, I think when it comes to the numbering as well, it's such a difficult task. If you ask me again, choose 5 of your closest people, I don't think it's a manipulation of the number, but I think it is as how we feel about them, and I don't think it's manipulation. It's basically, because if you ask me to choose 5 people, it would be the most difficult task for me, right? But if you ask me to choose 50 people, it's much more easier for me.
Okay.
And I think it's not anything that is related to the numbering, but I think more than that, it's about the it's about what we get from those connections and how we feel about that, and that ultimately creates that affection. And I don't think that numbers are manipulating that connection. So I think the numbers are giving or making it more difficult for us to create that, kind of labeling into or to restrict that into labels.
Not that I'm saying that number is directly, but I have a sense of feeling that people start comparing or measuring that relationship, that connection. Okay, he loves me more than that. It's kind of the base of that particular thing is a comparison. That comparison comes from it's directly or indirectly connected connected to that number. No, it's a number of incidents, everything that matters, that facet added to that particular thing. No, so do you believe? Do you sense that is happening in and around our life, or in and around our connections, between our connections?
I think yes, obviously. We do, yes. I think comparison comes in all the relationships. Like whatever the relationship is, I think the comparison is something that comes, and I think that is how we do classify or label people into like best friends, close friends, acquaintances, and all that, right? Because again, as we said, I think we compare ourselves in every relationships. Not just the people. I think we compare ourselves to basically, okay, how much I am feeling good, like how much I am putting the effort, how much I prioritize this, then that. I think the comparison is existing naturally to basically understand that, right? We compare. I think when we think about comparisons, it is obviously there, and I think it starts from us itself. Because I think that's the basis of all the labeling and classification we have in the relationships or in the connections.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think almost all relationships, we, even if we don't want to label them, or even if we don't want to compare them, it's still there is a sense of hierarchy that we keep, like our parents, our loved ones, then comes our friends. Sometimes, people have it different. Some people have it completely turned over, and it depends on person to person, and is very subjective. But by nature, I think we do, like to label things and keep a hierarchy, and as a result, we value some relationship over the other. And I don't think it's wrong. I don't think it's manipulative. It's just
not that I'm saying it's wrong, right?
Yeah. And
it's natural, actually.
Yeah. There is this one question that is in my mind for some time now, and I think that can be asked here because I think it's relatable. Because we always kind of say like we are the average of 5 people or like 10 people that we spend the most time with, and I can agree with that. Okay, like there is a lot of direct influence that people put in our life. But there is this one question that I've been asking a lot of time recently, that is that I've been meeting a lot of people recently, and I think if I just want to take the names, as we have just like Nitin just said, like the maximum number of connections you make closely is like 50 people. But I think more than that, like I can name people more than that, or like
many. He said maintain, right?
Maintain, yeah.
Okay, all right. So the thing is, like the question that I have, or like I've been having in my mind is like, why do we want to restrict us into the 5 or 10? Why can't we just go all in and have the most like infinite number of connections, and like infinite number of friendships, and meet infinite number of people, and learn from infinite number of people, or like hang out with them, like spend the days with them, learn about them and all that? Why can't we do that? Like, or I think as Azhar asked the question, I think if I take the numbers into the perspective, do you think that maybe thinking that okay, you only should have 5 people in your life or like 10 people in your life restrict us from having more connections, like more meaningful connections with people?
There is something that okay, go on, Aisha. After
I
that,
think the number comes when we are thinking of it, like the 5 people. Before, like we are taking to that number, we will say I have so many friends, and someone asks me just name 5 people. Then we are numbering. So before that, we don't do that. Like normally, like
yeah.
You understand?
Yeah, that's the question. Like, why do we have to do that, right? Like, all of us are like friends. Like, all of us are like having good time.
and also we used to say this statement, no, the 5 people, and actually we are not bothered about. Means the minute you ask about this question, I've just started counting the people I am constantly acquiring.
That's the thing I'm explaining. We tend to number.
In this connection itself, I'm constantly acquainting with almost 8 people on a daily basis, and I am having 8 or 10 colleagues, and in that I am having 4 people constantly in touch with. Because also when we count numbers, it's more than 5. It's more than 10.
Yeah.
So
And then, yeah, I agree.
and
What I wanted to say was like,
you go.
so, okay, sorry. What I wanted to say when like Rizwan said about this infinite thing, like, broaden it up to an infinity or something. I was remembering this math lesson that I was taught. So, I'm going to talk about mathematical philosophy and connection
Yeah.
philosophy.
Yeah.
Like integration, take integration, for example.
You're
So,
welcome.
when we take like a curve and we split it into maybe like five blocks, we'll get an average of it, but it will be either an overestimate or an underestimate because of the curve, because of the way it is. And we get a more accurate result when we change the limits to infinity. Like limit tends to infinity is what you write it as. And when you do that, you get a much more accurate way, and you reduce the width then, and you
That's
put
what we are
multiple
including all the
and
unexplained things into
exactly.
it. Yeah.
And then when you
And
tend it to an infinity, we get this, much more understanding and much more clear view of the curve or whatever that. So I think what this one said makes a lot of sense, because I think interacting with as many people as you can, understanding more perspectives will, I think will help you become a better person, I believe. Understand the true essence of what you want to live as. So yeah, I just wanted to add that.
when Rizwan tell about
Yeah.
acquainting with an infinite number of people, so do you ever consider as a person who travels a lot, a hippie? He is not constantly or contacting the same person for a long time. He will be continuously meeting new people, new experiences, and that makes his life very interesting. And we always try to hear stories from them, hear their philosophies. It's because they saw a lot of people. They don't limit themselves to 5 people or 10 people or 100 people. They are limitlessly traveling and meeting new people, making new connection with nature, with humans as well, everything possible in this world. So that's a difference from, because as a most of the majority is doing a day job or 5 to 8 job or something. So we are limited to a particular space. If you are not agreeing or not, we are limiting to a particular space. Maybe we are limiting to a district, we are limited to a state or something like that. We are mostly we are in and if you are traveling also, you are meeting, there is a limit for the people you are seeing
But the
in your life.
technology bridge a gap, right? Now we are
Yeah.
together. And
So
different.
maybe that's a thing, because in this modern world, uh, as we said, no, to maintain the relationship or the connection with more number of people is, I'm not telling it's not possible, but the most of the people are not putting effort to do that, knowingly or unknowingly.
Actually, I just want to tell something on this. All of us need to, like, all of the people need to connect with more people, but some of the commitments or some of the time or our situations that limited to this circle or these numbers. If somebody is free to move, if somebody have no commitments, if somebody have no restrictions and all, they can move low. They don't want to bother about anyone. They want to go wherever they want. They want to meet whomever they want to. So some of the scenarios in the situations, these commitments and all those things are limiting us here. I think so.
There is
Yeah, the
this one.
connections are limiting, right? Or the saying something like what limits them is also connections.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah, that's an interesting perspective, because people are afraid to move out of these connections they are already made, because if they are constantly moving, if they are constantly moving, no, okay, if I am having a beautiful set of friends in my hometown, and if I'm moving from my hometown to a different town, because obviously there will be a crack or there is a distance in that particular connection. So the people are very obvious or very particular about the already existing connections. So it's something like we are in a comfort zone. We are not ready to go out of this comfort zone, make new connections and new people. So it's also not only limiting our circumstances, but also our thoughts and our commitment to that particular connections may be limiting us.
Yeah, like I don't belong in any of this category. Like if I'm
Explain what's your category.
my social battery is like 1 hour. If I talk with a stranger, if I maintain a conversation with a stranger for more than 1 hour, I'm not talking for the rest of the day. Even if it's my family or the closest ones, I'm not
I can
talking.
relate to you. I can relate to you.
I save my energy for my own peace.
I'm done for the day. I just go chill in my spot, do whatever I want. I don't talk for the rest of the day. If I don't talk, then it's fine. I can have a conversation with you.
Yeah, and it makes sense too.
I think recently
Can I
his
ask one
social
thing?
battery has increased.
Yeah,
Yes,
recently I
yes.
looked into
So,
This
I
used
have a
to.
question for you. I have a particular question for you.
Uh-huh.
If you meet a person in the morning, it's a very interesting person. You have an interesting conversation and everything you talk, and consider that you are with social
Doesn't
battery ends
matter.
on that particular.
Doesn't matter.
I mean, it means considering that your social battery ends on that particular person. At the evening, you have a situation. You meet a very maybe the person you want to meet in your life. So you won't talk or not.
No, guys, this is
Such a
not fair.
rare situation.
The probability of that happening is very low. I'm banging on max here. I'm banging on statistics here.
Like they're saying, if I am meeting a person for the first time, I don't have an interesting conversation.
Yes.
The
You're
problem
not
is-
interesting to me.
And I
You
think
could be the US president. I don't care.
Oh my god.
Boundaries, they say.
Bro,
Come on
come.
my space.
Tomorrow, today's duration is over for my social battery.
My schedule is fixed.
Let us reschedule tomorrow.
I want to connect back to this whole mathematical thing. The limit. His limit is very like limit tends to 1. That's it, 1 hour.
10 to 10.
After that, it's done.
Yeah,
The-
as
the
I was saying
integral-
something, and we were cutting
Yeah.
off. Oh, Shiva.
Yeah.
Take it off.
Hey. I was just thinking about this that yeah, it is important to meet people. Like the more you meet, the more you grow. That's all right, okay? But when it comes, we are all human beings, no? Being
Yeah.
social and being human are two different things. You can be social and you can talk. So I am a people person. I can connect to people. I can talk to. I don't have this limit of 1 hour. I can speak 25 hours in a day. That's all right.
I think nobody in this group have that 1 hour social battery life. So it's depending upon the day.
Yeah.
But there are certain emotional things that as humans we have. So even if we connect to a lot of people, to an infinite level of people, won't that thing of your people come like by choice or by chance? There will be a certain people who you as a human or you as the most rawest version of yourself connects to.
Home.
Yeah, like
I'm
before
ha-
even you like you were about to say this, I wanted to add up a question or like a perspective when Azhar spoke about the traveling. You know, I think maybe that's when the thought would have came to your mind, right?
Yes.
So I think as Alan or like I relate to, it's easy. It's very interesting and fascinating to meet people and to make connections. But I think even when we think of having to meet infinite people, I think there should be a home, as we can call, where we can come back to, like where we crave to come back to, right? When we go travel as well, even you take like these hippies, I think even in their mind, somewhere at the
There is
deepest
something.
corners, they also want to come back to a home, right? A place called home. And I think that place called home is also, as what Hajara mentioned, like where you're the truest, or like where you don't have to be feared about like who you are and all that, right? So I think that also exists, and I think that's also connections that creates that home. And it is also connections that we go behind to make, like, to meet more connections, to come back to our soulful
Exactly.
connections.
Exactly. I've read somewhere that this word home calling should be included in emotions like happiness, joy, sorrow. And home calling is a whole different emotion.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. Connecting to that, can I ask another question?
Go on.
We all
Go on,
discuss
go on.
about the connection with the other people, nature, and whatever it is, blah 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 blah. Okay. Can you define your connection with yourself, your soul?
That's through all these connections. That through the connections with people, through connecting with nature,
Yeah.
through connecting with non-living things, everything, even with the probably the couch I'm sitting on. Like only when each time when you connect, you'll find more about yourself. That's
Yeah, I agree with Hajra. The more you connect with newer people, the more you connect to yourself actually.
and you'll be amazed by that. I have been
like
surprised by finding some characteristics of mine I never knew was in me.
Hashtag me too.
yeah.
Actually,
Hashtag me too for the good
me too.
reasons.
I'm also in that way too because yesterday or day before yesterday we had a caption writing competition, right? Yesterday,
yeah.
I think in yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday.
And what the interesting thing I learned from that particular thing, no, conducting that particular contest or something like that, people don't know the perspective of about particular thing to explain when we ask that particular question directly. But when you put up a picture, they knowingly or unknowingly they are putting their perspective on the table.
Yeah.
So it's something like the people helps to unlock your perspective, unlock that particular thing that they haven't visited yet inside their heart.
Yeah. And I was like just remembering some quote about that. I don't know if it fits perfectly into it, but I just remembered about it, and it goes like this. It's by Donna Markova. I chose to risk my significance so that what comes to me as seed can go to the next as blossom. I don't know if it makes sense to me. That's like, the connection with myself.
There is actually something very similar to it. I read somewhere that you have to decide if you have been planted somewhere or buried somewhere.
That I've read, yeah.
That I've read.
Come again.
You have to decide.
You have to think whether you are planted somewhere or you're buried somewhere.
I think I've been thinking, I think I've asked you guys as well, and I've posted kind of something today as well, right? How do you find love, right? And when I asked, where do you find love? And like we all had this common point that we agreed on, that was love. We can't find love, but it just happens. Like love finds you, right? And but I wanted to know, after that, I've been basically thinking all the time, okay, like how do you let the love find you? How do you basically create that, create that pathway for the love to find you? And I think that connects to what we talk, the same thing, like how you find yourself. For example, what I've observed is that the love we need basically is not that something that we can give to ourselves completely. There will be a void, how much will I talk about self-love, self-growth and all that, but there is a void that you need to be filled by others. And for that, we are always constantly searching for that void to be filled, right? And as I always believe, we are always, when we say the better half, we're always searching our own reflection, like what we want in others. Like we are searching for ourselves in others.
Can I cut that? Is that saying we are searching, but maybe we are not searching. We find them. We realize that I missed that part.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. Makes sense. We're all what we all want is that we are all searching for something to complete us, and that we can only get in others, right? And I think in the same way, in order to find us, right, and in over that, everything comes, happiness, emotions, all the emotions, and and that is where the true essence of connections also comes in, right? It is others who help us get what we want, right? Whether it is like whatever you take, like even the finite resources, the infinite resources, whatever it is, like emotions, feelings. I think it's others who help us reach there somehow or the other. Maybe we know that, maybe we don't know that, but there comes a point in life where you realize that.
Maybe that is truly because we are not the center of this universe. We are just a fragment in between a lot of fragments that connect together, and that's how this world runs. So when we think that we are everything, I am everything, you don't seem to understand that properly. But when you kind of ground yourself and understand that I know some stuff, but that does not mean that I am everything and I'm the most significant thing. I need more knowledge, more perspectives, more understanding to fill the parts of me that I don't know. And that's the thing, right? That's where other people come into, or other things come into. That is when you understand that you are not the most significant thing, yet you can become something whole by connecting with more people and understanding their perspectives is the most beautiful thing in the world, I think.
The humility, basically.
Yeah.
Humility.
Okay.
Yeah.
And even that's why we go to different people for different emotions to be covered.
Yeah.
We don't go for the same, however close the person might be, you don't go with the same person for everything.
Yeah.
Probably when you have a happy news, you go to one person. When you really want to just vent out things, you go to another person.
Maybe
Because
what Ajira said, I have a thing to add that you asked them, where do you find love? No, so we are going to different person for different kind of emotions, but when we find that culminated person, no, every emotion, there is a nuances of everything that we can go to. We will find that one person. No, okay, so maybe that's a moment the love finds us. No, it's okay, for everything I can rely upon this particular person. For every kind of emotion I can share with them. So it's that the moment I think we fall in love, means that the understanding makes us, okay, this is a person, or this is a person who can feel all the gaps, all the particular emotions, or cater all kind of emotions of us, and vice versa. Maybe that other person also can maybe feel. Not that I'm telling I'm correct, but I think so in somehow. If you relate, no, if I take our parents for example, they share all the emotions with themselves, means with their partnership, but as Hajra said, the people, maybe my father is not exposing other emotions to other people, but they are sharing a whole lot of things with my mother, and mother is also doing the same with my father. So
I think I would like to add on to something that Azhar said. I mean, I agree to him to some extent, but I think changing that everything to a lot of things. It's not everything, but I think
maybe it's not that I'm telling that everything can be catered by one person, but maybe
but the idea,
the majority of emotional needs is being.
I think it's
what
not
we call
even
home.
lot of things. It's probably the most important of things. Like if there is one emotion you really want the most, that you get from a person, and probably that's the time when we fall in love, or when we find that partner.
I think even if you are in a marriage relationships, I don't think that we like, even if you say, like, when I compare, as far as I have observed, that even if we share, as we say, like, a lot of things, we don't share everything. We do share, but we don't share. We still go out to people who, like, as I think, who we think that, okay, this is the right person for this to talk with, and we talk about that. Or like we connect over there.
That is, a human being, you can't open up all your secrets or everything to everybody. Not that one person can define an entire person as a Rizwan as a person, because if you want to complete the puzzle called Rizwan, we have to bring on all the person you have acquainted, because every people has something to contribute to that puzzle. not that one person or the two person can complete that puzzle, because there will be a gap to fill that that person don't know about you. Maybe a simplest of the person, the one only the one person who met only for once can add to that puzzle called reservoir. So nobody is getting known very deeply or fully by other person, because we as a person we don't share.
Yeah. Think if I can speak about like my case, I guess I'm completely in love with Palak, and I know that that's someone I can always rely on. I can tell everything, but there's some stuff that even I'm not able to share in that scenario as well. And sometimes I question it. I'm like, why? I should be able to. I'm in love, right? This is the person for me, right? I should be able to. But there are some things that is still difficult to explore, and maybe I might be able to spark up that part of me that I'm not able to do in some other conversation with someone else. And then I doubt myself. But the truth is, it's not necessary that the person I am in love with has to be that person where I can lay everything on, because sometimes I won't be able to.
Maybe
I
I agree completely with that.
Experts at this has spoken.
Can't relate, guys. Can't relate.
No, because there have been, like what Ellen was speaking, while Ellen was speaking, I was thinking, like there have been times I've been questioning, like, did I even make the wrong decision? Why am I not even being able to talk this to him?
Exactly.
But then it's like you don't have to, and I think accepting ourselves that, see, this is how it works, and for this particular thing of yours, you'll have to search for other people in your life.
And I think no need to treat yourself to a guilt trip for not sharing that, because
It spoils
I believe
the relationship.
I believe there is season for everything. There is a particular time to rain to come to our nature. There is a particular time to be a summer in nature. There is a time for winter in nature. It's same with the relationship also. There is a particular time that you can be in that stage, and things that you are not worried to share with your partner or anybody can be shared after 5 years, because that so we don't need to give that. Okay, just give time for that particular relationship. It's like seasons. The season changes. Season of your love changes.
This thing has actually surprised me, because there have been some things that I talked probably in the first part of our relationship, and we were talking, and I was like, no, this is not how I was wanting this conversation to go ahead. But the same conversation we have had after years, and then I was like, what just happened? What happened that we both changed? Like the conversation is now going like how we want.
I think for me, my partner, it's that if I could open up everything and lay it all out on the table, if I was able to, I think I can rely on Balak eventually. But right now, I might not be able to because of my limitations, or because maybe I've not reached that level where I can process it. So that's a big thing about that connection of love. I think it's not that you have to tell everything. It's that if you want to, I think there is always going to be a space for you to open up or tell things.
I think in a relationship,
and sometimes that's a good thing, and even if that is there, you might find other people to open up, and where you can just lay it all out too. And that's okay, because everything is subjective, isn't it?
I think in a relationship, as it's like everything happens through time. Like I think the time is the answer for any questions in relationship, right? Any question. Also, when it comes to any relationships, okay, I think it's always about giving, or like saying, like if you're talking about speaking the right thing at the right time. And that right thing could be anything, right? That depends, and that again is like very subjective.
No, that's the right time.
You
You never know.
Yeah,
Never know.
you never know. Like
Intuition.
you trust,
never
yeah,
know.
your
Your heart.
intuition, your instincts, your
It's your
guts.
intuition.
Yeah,
Even it's not just a marriage or a relationship. Even with your parents also,
yeah,
Yeah.
you just trust the like. If we have something to share with you, we're like, no,
Yeah.
will they like really like? Will it be a problem? But there is sometimes we trust the vibe and we say, hey,
They're
now
like, okay,
they'll not say anything to us. Now they'll not scold us. Now we can easily say
yeah.
it.
It's the time is the answer for
Yeah.
that, right? It's like we
Yeah.
process, like whatever it is. Like ultimately, it comes to okay, this is the time. You just go for it,
Yeah.
right?
And also the people ruin relationship by putting all the things into the table in the initial phase itself, because we we make the people we should make that mold very comfortable to pour something, because they can't withstand all thing at the initial
Yeah.
phase.
Yeah.
Yeah, emotionally unloading at the initial stage.
and
Yeah.
and the thing it's exactly what Nitin said. Don't think that your partner is not a person to unload all your emotional baggage and all sort of things, and you are very adamant to they should understand all your emotions. Nothing that won't happen, because
Yeah.
they are having the similar kind of maturity, and
Similar
they are
kind of
having the
trouble.
maybe similar kind of experience with their life. Okay, along with they it should grow eventually. We should watch that growth, no? I mean, as a person, ourselves and or her growth, we should watch it, and okay, and we put a guilt trip on all sort of things, no, that he's not understanding or she's not understanding what I'm telling right now. And so there is no point of this relationship. There is no meaning for this particular
Yeah.
relationship. This is the bullshit that happening on the modern kind of relationship. Not that everybody is doing, but
Yeah.
it's
Makes sense.
happening in and around us.
Yeah,
I think you can metaphor it down to like even like what fruits. Let's say there's the organic one, which takes time. It takes a lot of time. Then there's the other one. You put a lot of pesticides. You put a lot of hormones and medicine, and it grows wonderfully. It looks so beautiful by the outside, but when you dig into that fruit, you will feel a difference. You will feel that difference, and
Alan is
that's
some
the
on
beautiful.
roll.
That's harmful.
Alan ate an apple yesterday and he's taking metaphors fruits today. Ate an apple for the first time. Ate an apple for the first time. Correction.
It happens. I love apples.
Okay, so I have one
That's the
question.
thing. Yeah.
Okay,
Go for it.
because it's already almost an hour, and we can take this conversation a lot. Okay,
Yes.
but I think there is this one question that we can kind of try to wind this up. Okay, what is that one question that always come to your mind, or that you have always asked when it comes to connections? Not relationships. I'm saying specifically connections. Any connections. One question that you always ask yourself, or like you have been asked, that
Yeah.
you thought, yeah, this really matters when we talk about connections or creating
Me,
connections.
like, is it help me grow or is it drag me behind? That's the one thing that I keep in mind when.
Yeah, does this take me anywhere new?
Okay. All right. Next.
Okay.
We'll go by one with this.
Okay, for me, the only thing currently only thing I'm very particular about, I'm okay with that the damages happen through connections, but the only thing I'm thinking about whether I can withstand the damages to happen by that particular person.
Is it worth?
Is it,
Because maybe if it damages also, there is something that I could learn from that particular thing.
And how do you assess that?
So
If I may ask you the question, a counter to that.
I'm a person who take a lot of time to acquaint with connect to people, connect to a human being, because I spend a lot of time for observing how that particular people or that particular person treating others. So from that I get a nuances of how he will treat me also. So If that vibes matches, maybe I will do that.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, I heard
As a
somewhere
people
that
person, I think I can understand where that question came from.
Okay.
For me, the main sign is it's not about what comes from the opposite person, actually. It's about what starts from me. I always think, like, can I give my 100? Like, that's how I assess a connection. Like, if that connection is strong enough, I'll start showing the signs of giving something. Probably it'll be small messages or something or the else.
Yeah.
I'll start giving from my side, and if that giving is increasing, that means I am getting more connected to that person.
I understand that. I think I
I don't know if
connect
I'm
with
making
that.
sense, but yeah.
It makes sense. It makes beautiful sense.
And also one thing I want to add, I am ready for the damage only when the person worth it. As
Yeah,
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 is the highs worth the
yeah,
lows?
that's what I was
Yeah.
thinking. Also, when I start giving more, I
Hmm.
start feeling okay. So this person is
Yeah.
getting closer to me. that thought starts triggering.
I'll just ask
Yeah.
another question there. I think I have a lot of questions. Okay. When you say like,
Just answer this question first, no?
Answer the question,
we'll
right?
go,
I
Yeah,
we'll
think,
go,
sure.
we'll go one by one. Okay, then let's go and come back. Yeah.
yeah.
Aisha
Nitin?
left.
Who? You didn't answer, right?
Yeah, Alan, come
You
on.
didn't
Nitin?
answer as well.
Oh, I
Rizwan?
didn't know.
I'll answer. You guys answer,
Yeah.
I'll answer. Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, I think I go along with what Hajira said as well. I think being a people pleaser and somewhat of an extrovert, I think I always think of giving and adding value to that connection, you know. And if when I talk to someone, if I'm able to spark up a good conversation, I feel good about it. I feel glad about that connection. I feel grateful for that. And sometimes it's not like if a conversation goes bad, I am resenting it, but I don't usually think a lot about that, right now. I just, the conversations that I have, the connections that I have, that brings value to me, as well as me being able to give it some value, I place it above on the pedestal compared to the ones that I might have resented. And as a result, I don't care about the damage these days. I care about the things that just could go right. Things can go wrong, and that's okay, because time is there. I'll learn and hopefully heal for the better. So, in terms of connections, the question I ask is, can I add value to it? And can I get some value from this? And that's
I
all.
think that's the
That's a fair
reason.
point.
That's the reason,
That
probably.
Fair
If
point.
like if a person who thinks about the damages, like Azhar,
Yeah.
he'll be really strong even if something happens.
Hmm.
Even if something happens wrong. But if something happens wrong, I know I'm gonna go into an emotional dustbin over there, and it's okay. Like it's okay for me, but I know I'll not be strong.
Hmm.
and also the one thing, no, how can I add anything to their life? Also, it's very important. If a person, if something, if a person comes to meet me and that doesn't interest me and that vibe doesn't matches, and I know I can't add anything to his life, any of his convictions or any of these perceptions, no, it's entirely different. I will be talking with him maybe, but I won't make a close connections, no, because the end of the day, at any point of the ground, no, we should have that connection. We should, okay. Maybe the perception will be different. We are maybe in the opposite pole. For example, I and Hajira, we are having a different kind of perception towards the world, but at one point we have something similar or something that I can agree to, no. So that we can find in people
Yep.
in the long run or something like that.
The yin to the yang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
like a Venn diagram. Like
Yeah, like
Venn diagram. Yeah.
I mean, I think this entire question can be summed up to like what can we add and what can we get.
Yeah.
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 It's
And
so
what about
simple.
Asna? You have an answer for that?
Nitin simplified it very in two sentences.
1 hour into, like, he has this 1 hour thing, guys. You have to
Yeah,
understand.
yeah. The time is about to run out, guys.
It's about the social battery, guys. 1 hour is over. You
No,
will
no.
need.
Okay, but the question I ask is different.
Yeah, I think as well.
I am I have a very different perspective on this. Or like, when I think about what I ask, I basically don't ask any questions. Okay, I only check the vibe or the
Yeah.
energy.
Okay. Okay. You
Yeah.
were talking about
Yes.
making connections.
Huh, obviously.
One
Okay.
second. I thought you were thinking about connecting more after the process of making.
No, like
Making
how
connection
do you
deeper.
how do you connect with people basically? Like how do you
Like,
create
for the
connections?
first time, it's just about the moment. Even
Deeper
for you,
connections,
the
deeper
energy.
connections also, like deeper connections also. Like
So
it's
much time to connect with people.
I don't like ask like what I am going to add, like what this person is going to add. No, if I
Okay.
get the vibe, like if I get the vibe right, I know that in that vibe, maybe all of that comes. I think Hazara would get this, like
Yeah.
Yeah,
you
I
get
think
the
we have
energy.
discussed this
That's
before,
what I
and
think.
everyone
We
said
had this
vibe.
discussion before, and
then
my
it's a
answer
case
was exactly the same. Like,
Yeah.
it was
Then-
energy that matters.
Hmm.
But then, if you
Yeah.
think about taking that
There are
connection
chances for
forward,
most
and
of
you
us.
see, yeah, like for connections to be made, it's energy.
Hmm.
But then I realized that this connection is getting a little more deeper when I start giving more.
Okay, like you judge a connection basically based
Yeah.
on how
Yeah.
much you give.
Yeah.
Okay,
The
yeah,
depth
that makes
of a
sense.
connection.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay,
For
okay.
me,
Yeah.
then for me, it's a very different thing because I'm working in a sales for last 4 years and I'm constantly acquainting with a set of people in a daily basis. So I can't be an introvert that person. So I am the person who initiate that conversation in most of the time. So as Rizwan said, okay, in the first conversation, if I get that vibe, I will be go and talk to that particular person. If it is in a personal matter, if it is in a professional matter, no matter what, I have to talk to him and to convert in something like that. So
Yeah.
it's my job, need to be done. So end of the day, salary matters. So
Funny things.
Fair.
Fair point.
but when it comes to what is the thing that I got from sales perspective, when I'm constantly engaging with a lot of people, okay, in the initial phase, the most of the people project means at least 50% of the people project the very beautiful side of their personality. When we dig deeper into their personality, we'll came to know this is a person who is not true to its words. Maybe there are very different cases that I encountered that there is people who very very harsh in their initial conversation, but when I try to know more about that particular person, they are very tender, a very beautiful soul inside them, because that breaks me as a person, because I can't judge a person with an initial conversation, so I need to dig more to know, to make a close connection. So
Maybe that harsh is their sheet.
yeah, and one thing one thing I learned
Yeah,
from my 4
whole
years
another
of
topic over there.
means the one of the biggest lesson I learned from learn about people from sales, the people who are very harsh and uh, who tell things into the face, we can trust them. They don't backstab you. The people who are very diplomatic, the people who are very okay, if you've done anything bad, or no issues, you can they will please you in a different manner, I think somewhat there's a trust issue will happen, so they will backstab you, because the people who are very rude at you, they'll be rude, continuing to be rude for you, any act you are doing, but they don't do any backstabs or any back plays, that will be straightforward, and I like that kind of people. Even if that rude, I'm ready to agree that rude, accept that rudeness.
I don't know why, but I have a complete different take on that.
Yeah, that's the thing. I knew that too. I knew that Azara would have.
Hazra and Azhar.
No, as in,
It's like you pause.
Like for me, no. Yeah, I understand people have emotions. Being rude, be it you take it out on some people. It's okay getting frustrated, but you don't know if you'll meet a person again.
Yeah.
So
So
So once you're rude, there wasn't time enough to show that
it's
you were
not about
real.
it's not I'm rude to them. They're
No,
rude
it's
to
not you.
me.
No,
That
it's not you. Like I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the people. We say no, like I am very open onto your face. I say what I have
Straightforward.
in my heart. Yeah, I'm very straightforward. I take that very offensively. See, the other person in front of
Sometimes
you
we
might
need
not be in a
something.
state to take it as
Yeah,
you say it out.
that's it.
I agree.
And it's not putting a mask. It's just being compassionate
okay.
about the person in front of you.
Then I have a question for you. Okay. If a
but
person,
doesn't
if I had a,
No.
it's not a debate, guys. But
but
I want to
I'm
do something.
scared
I
of
must do
this
something.
question.
does,
The nation wants to
do you
know.
agree, do you agree a person who talk your inefficiencies to you or to your friends or your parents or
No,
anything?
that's a whole different thing.
No, I think even then,
Hadra is saying
Even then,
that when
No.
in a specific situation,
Hmm.
we are craving for something.
Hmm.
When we are open, straightforward, we can't take it.
Hmm.
yeah,
No,
like
I'll
what
tell you
Hajra
something.
meant is like
There
a
have people who came to
like
me
for
and
example,
said
doctor.
something. Yeah, there are people who came to me and then they have said something and then they're like, see, I am very straightforward, okay? I just say it out.
Yeah, I know that. I know
It
that.
doesn't make sense. Trust me, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
you know,
imagine your doctor being straightforward with you.
yeah. No, it's, I don't think, even
You
if
will
it's
die.
about, talking about the insecurities that we have, I think in order for us to understand, or like any person, like suppose, let's say I am a very straightforward person. Okay. And, like, even if you want to communicate something that I'm lacking, like my weakness, my insecurities, for me to understand that, like, even if I say I am this straightforward person, for me to understand that there is a certain level of compassion that is needed for me to understand that. Otherwise, all I'll be thinking about, like, how dare he is, like, how, like, how arrogant he is. Like, I'll be having that thought, right? Like, even like, even like as a like like your context is, I think, slightly different, because as you said, when it comes to doing a job and when it comes to like for you, all you matters is, okay, I'm gonna hear it out, you just bash me out, I'm fine, but I want this to be closed.
Yeah.
Right. But when it comes to like certain other situations, I think it's more about, how you make me feel, like how you make me feel, than how straightforward you are also.
And not that I'm saying that the quality of straightforward is to say anything rude or something make other people uncomfortable. I'm telling that, okay, if I want to tell something about that particular person, I have to tell to that particular person only.
Yeah, you
not
have
the
to.
others.
But I
Clean
think
person,
in a
can we say?
certain way.
Huh?
Can we say
In a
like a
certain-
clean person?
Yeah.
Yeah, the way of presentation matters.
Yeah, the way of presentation matters. Because there are people who say, see, I say it out as it is. I don't know how to sugarcoat and stuff. They consider it as a big compliment for themselves.
Exactly.
But you don't know.
Actually, I want to add one thing to that. Like all these depends on our emotions and our acceptance. If we consider the peoples as like in this world, there is a lot of kind of different peoples. No, if everyone is like there is no diversities over here and there is no beauty here. If we are ready to accept that thing, like peoples are different, their emotions are different, and we are ready to accept that this rudeness, this sugar coating, and everything is not a problem for us. Basically, that's
Exactly.
Our
Exactly.
acceptance is the matter.
Yeah. If a person who get affected by a comment, he will be affected in any way. If it is if it be present in a compassionate way or in a sugar coated way, anything. It means the effect is there, but we can reduce that effect by the tonality and the presentation only. But
Yeah.
the offended feeling will be there in any day, the person who are not ready to accept that of his inabilities
Yeah.
or
I think
anything
I agree with both Hajar and
At the
Azhar
end of the
too.
day,
No. I'll take a minute. Okay.
Yeah.
I had a task while I was working to communicate with the parents. Okay. About the students. Okay. About their children, basically. Let the students be on the side about their children. Okay. And every time after they spend the money, after we invested the time, after we have like been for hours with them, when we go and say, okay, this can be improved, that can be improved, and all that. Okay. The next question they've asked is all the time, then why have we paid the money? Why this? They were like they were kind of, they will be kind of arrogant, but instead, even like this not only with the parents, even with the employees that I've trained, what I've understood is that when you start the right way, like as you said, okay, you can be straightforward, or you have to be straightforward in an environment where you train people, or when you give feedbacks. Okay, like you can say, okay, you're like the way you presented this over here was wrong and all that. But just saying that is straightforward. Okay, I'll just classify things. Okay, for example, if you made a mistake and it's just the mistakes you point out, that is straightforward. But if there was something else as well, which was a good side of that, okay, that if you put it in the beginning, then that is a different story. Like how the way I accept that is different.
criticism.
Right, constructive criticism. That is also straightforward, but that is a different straightforward.
Yeah.
Right, that is more compassionate, kind way of straightforward. And now, like, there's like obviously like acceptance and all that matters. But in order for anyone to accept things, I think, like you take any animals, right? You go to a dog, and you just like you without any source or like sense of kindness, even a dog will not give you respect. Right? For that, you need that sense of kindness to be shown.
to that.
Yeah, I
Right.
agree completely. That's the thing.
Okay.
One of my sir used to say, when we are saying something, we can use a sandwich model. We can say the good parts first and add the bad parts, then again a good part.
And
Like
good
that
part.
sandwich together, it is a good thing, no?
I think it was in the book, the love languages and the words of affirmation thing. Also, it was mentioned in that part, the kind words section. It was there.
It's there in my sales also. If we want to communicate one critical information, that will be, we know that we will get scolded by this kind of statement we are gonna make. So the initial conversation we are making about their children, how is the business going, everything, and we will make a ground very softer, and we'll slowly put that matter into table. And at that time he will be okay. There will be a kind of spark will be there, but at that time also we will put some sort of anything personal that makes that particular person calmer, very comfortable. It's a way we are got, but need to say that, because without saying okay, if we fear to how he gonna take it, fear about that particular thing to be considered very differently, we are not saying that particular thing, no, that's not the right thing.
Yeah, I think taking all that into perspective, what really is about is when we say it, also like obviously it depends on how ready am I to accept that, as Asnata said. Also it also depends on how much I want them to accept what I'm saying as well, right? For example, if I am straightforward, most of the time it is okay, it is arrogance basically, because if you want to basically correct that person, then you think, okay, how much, like I have to, like, I don't know if you can call it like sugarcoating and all that. No, it's basically human way of communicating things to make sure that, like, okay, this is something that would make you better, and I want this to be communicated to you. And if I'm like, okay, I'm like straightforward, this and that, it's basically arrogance. Like, okay, I don't care if you change or not. If you get pissed or not, I'm fine, but I will say.
There is one,
just like the aunties coming and saying, beta, like you got fat. Why can't you like
there is one of my friend used to say these line continuously. Speaking without hurting other people is an art.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
I
It
agree.
is.
Kindness.
And I think every
basically comes
human
from
should
kindness.
learn to master that
Learn
art.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that art is so much
Like
important
even in
in
your
all.
personal relationship, we were talking about
Yeah,
constructive criticism, workplaces
yeah,
and all. No, even if in your, for example, your
personal.
friend is gotten into some trouble, and you know your friend is wrong in that space.
Hmm.
If you go and say straightforward to that person that, see, you are wrong in this, they're not gonna take it that way. So you'll have to be like, okay, calm down. This is how the problem has, and then slowly say, see, there is a little
Yeah,
mistake on your side also.
exactly.
So there's a way of
This
saying
is-
it.
Yeah,
But
there's
that
a way
is
of
not
saying.
Probably you
always
can't even say at
possible.
that time
Like,
also. You'll have to wait till 2-3 days to say it, maybe. Depends on the
Hmm.
person.
I remember something I heard that maybe it's interview with some celebrity. Like if you can't say anything um like if you
Good.
can't say anything kind or good, don't
Stay
say
silent.
Don't say anything.
stay
Mm.
silent.
Yeah, that thing is there.
Like
I
the
think
thing with
that's
words
it.
is, even if you beat someone, that marks might go, like that pain might go. You can say
Mm.
sorry, but when you say words, it just
Yeah.
it just hurts
Yeah,
so
Can't
bad.
I
take it
remember this.
back.
When you said
Literally.
that, I remember this thing. Sticks and stones can break your bone, but
Yeah.
words can break your mind and heart. It's
And there
something
is
Mm.
like
something also that a pen is mightier than a sword, something
Yeah.
like
yeah,
that. No, that we,
but
Even what while Rizwan was
words
saying
can
about
cut
this
deeper.
aunties coming and pulling off remarks, I guess I have just a good example to show how
Yeah,
the same thing can be presented in a way. So there are
exactly.
people who come and ask, especially after the marriage, it happens. So everybody comes and asks, why are you not pregnant? When will you give us the good news? Okay. So this question comes like, I've heard the worst of remarks. And
Yeah.
people say, we are actually concerned for you. Okay.
Mm.
So I've had one of my cousins who's way older to me. He came up to
Mm.
me and asked very nicely, what about your baby planning?
Mm.
That's
Okay.
nice.
And that question actually was so it didn't make me feel bad, though it should have. Usually this kind of talk does make me frustrated. But the way she asked me, it puts me in an authority that I have the right to plan it.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah.
Just
It's
small
all
changes can change
exactly
whether that person is actually
subtle,
concerned for you or
subtle
not.
art. Yeah, it's the subtle art. I think
words.
the other one is a demand. Here it's a question. There's a
Not
few
even a
people. The other one
demand.
is demand
Give
is the
people
question.
what they want.
Start me
People will
on
give
that.
you what you
Should
want.
be like this. The
Yeah,
the
be like
That's
this.
why,
Do what
guys, we are having a bunch of beautiful writers because even they are telling the same thing, the same love story, the same fictions and
Yeah.
everything,
Yeah,
having a
that's why.
different world they get
It's,
created by the words. So
if not for that, we wouldn't have so many different movies and so many different books and so many
actually,
different
it's art.
songs.
every writer is using the same set of words or same set of preset words in their stories and the fiction. So, but how they are using and where they are using, it's so important.
Words matter.
Exactly. I agree. Words, man.
What's your voices?
Words or
Words.
Nice
Yay!
I think
Okay.
Yeah,
think
I think
Yeah.
it's almost 80 minutes.
yeah. I just want to add one more thing. I just want to add one more thing.
Okay, yeah.
One more thing. It's just one statement. I think in any connection or any conversation, I think kindness is what we all need. And kindness is everything that we need to maintain that also, to learn also, to express as well. Because, and that's an art that we should put so much time and effort into learn and understand. Because if you're not kind, you won't be seeing the world for what it is. You'll only be seeing the world for what you want it to be. So I want to leave a small remark saying, let's all try to learn a little bit more kindness every day and a little bit more words of kindness every day and thoughts of kindness every day so that we can build beautiful relationships that overflow with love and kindness. So yeah, that's
Yeah,
something.
I would
yeah.
Be any more better than that.
Yeah, I would add up two more things. Okay, one request and one small thing onto that. Like, one thing is that,
Yeah.
we all would love to be remembered, right? Every one of us would love to be remembered. And if there is one thing that we can all do to be remembered, that is only one thing, that is to be kind. Until and unless you're kind and you're compassionate, you're good to others, basically you will not be remembered.
It's like saying, like people always remember how you treat them,
Yeah.
not
How
what
you
you
made
wear,
them
what you,
Yeah.
yeah, how you made them feel.
Yeah. And in that note, I think if anyone wants to add up anything, you can add. Otherwise, I'll add up like one small request at the end so that we can end this up.
I think there is I think Alan has put up very nicely, but I always follow these lines of Robin Williamson's. No, everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about. Be kind.
Yeah,
So
be kind.
Yeah.
It's exactly what I said when I said you can't say things out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So in that sense, I just have a small request to anyone who's listening, who's watching. Imagine that you're living. This is something that I have seen today, and it was such a beautiful thing that I saw. Imagine that you're living to a foreign country, leaving everything behind over here, and you're just migrating to some place. And like while in the flight, you have a phone, and you can make one phone call to say sorry, or like I miss you, or like I love you to a person. And who would that person be?
Mm-hmm.
You can take a couple of seconds, and I think you'll have an answer in your mind. Don't wait for that time of leaving the place to happen. It can be now as well. So just take your phone, maybe a computer or something, just send them, I miss you, I'm sorry, I love you, whatever it is, and just make sure that you have the best of the connections. Thank you so much for listening, watching, and being there. And we know that it's been a long time, but I think, it doesn't matter about the time, but what you might have received from this would at least might have created a question in your mind. So thank you so much for listening, watching, and whoever you are, just have fun, take care, and build beautiful connections. Be kind. Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye.